Alright, hey guys, this is going to be my E3 2011 talk video where I'm going to discuss some of the games that I saw this year that really impressed me, some games that I had previously seen but now we saw some new gameplay that had me really excited, and I'm going to talk briefly about the press conferences because I have to admit, I'm going to start off by saying this, E3 2011 was probably one of the most underwhelming E3s I've seen in a long time, meaning that E3 is always a time for, developers to show us big surprises like games that we never saw coming. But especially apparent in this year's press conferences, there weren't a lot of big surprises, despite, Nintendo revealing their new system, the Wii U, that used to be codenamed Project Cafe. Everything was kind of already leaked beforehand, and they didn't really show anything for their new system that completely blew it out of the park, like, oh my god, did you see what they just showed? So I'm not going to do this like last year. I'm not going to completely destroy and analyze every press conference because I have to admit they really weren't all that great, especially the Sony and Microsoft press conferences. So I will start with Nintendo, and let's start with Nintendo's new console coming out next year titled Wii U. So my first initial impressions were, okay, the controller they showed off has a touchscreen in it. We already knew that was coming because of leaked details. The whole integration thing with syncing up your game from your TV to the controller is a cool idea. However, for me, it's not really something that I need because in order to get the game from the TV to the controller, the example they use for this is you're sitting at home and someone comes in and they want to watch baseball on their TV. So you go from playing the game on your TV to playing it on the controller. That's pretty cool and all, but for the most part, when I'm playing a game, I'm not going to have interruptions. And in order to sync it to your controller, you have to be by the console. So, I originally had predicted that maybe Nintendo was going to make their controller like a portable system, which essentially they did. However, you have to stay within proximity of the system to play those games on the controller. So it's not as portable as I had thought or had hoped. I mean, how cool would it be to be playing Zelda and be like, oh shoot, I gotta go out to a friend's house or something, and you sync that thing up to your controller, and you're playing Zelda over at your friend's house on the same game save, which is sort of what PlayStation or Sony is doing with their PlayStation Vita, the new name for their new handheld that used to be codenamed the NGP. That's sort of where they're going. Nintendo is staying a little bit more at home with this thing. So getting back to what they showed off, game-wise, I was kind of underwhelmed with what they had showed off. Graphically, gameplay-wise, granted, this is the kind of system that you have to play in person. So my views on this are probably a little bit I should say, don't listen to them completely because I've obviously not played this thing. It seems like the kind of game system that you have to play to really fully judge. But graphic-wise, I'll start with that. I've never really been truly about graphics. Some of my favorite games exist on the Wii, which, as we all know, is not even an HD system. But I have to say, I'm kind of disappointed in Nintendo, and what they showed off seems like it's going to really be on par with Xbox 360 and PS3. A lot of rumors were floating around that this thing was going to be much more powerful than the current generation systems, but that's obviously not true. Now here's the thing that not a lot of people realize. When they were showing off the trailers for third-party games like Batman or Arkham City, Darksiders 2, Battlefield 3, all these big third-party games that they're showing off that are going to be coming for the Wii U, the gameplay footage they actually showed was for the PC, PS3, and Xbox 360 versions. That footage was not running on the Wii U console itself. Now, a lot of people also don't realize that those games they showed off are coming out on the PS3, 360, and PC this year. The Wii U is not due out until next year, so Nintendo's going to run into a problem with, balancing getting these games out in a timely manner into gamers' hands, meaning everybody that is really anticipating these games, they're going to be buying them on the 360 and the PS3 because they're not going to wait months and months to get them on the Wii U. Nintendo's going to have to introduce some kind of awesome gameplay features into these games to make them worthwhile picking up on the Wii U. And here's my biggest concern for Nintendo with the Wii U. How are they going to convince hardcore gamers that they have to pick up these games on their system as opposed to the PS3 and the 360? When we get to that point, when the Wii U titles are all releasing on, at the same time as their 360 and PS3 counterparts, are the people that buy these kind of games, they're probably still going to buy them on the 360 and the PS3. They don't think, gee, there's a new Call of Duty game coming out, let me buy it on the Wii U. They're going to buy it on the PS3 and the 360 because the install base is already, all their friends are already playing on those consoles. They already have a great online system set up. Granted, Nintendo has said that the friend codes are gone from the Wii U, but essentially what I'm trying to say is I think they're really going to have a hard time establishing, making the point to hardcore gamers that they have to buy these third-party games on their console. Nintendo is they're going to appeal to their core audience for Nintendo fans. You know, they're going to release new Zeldas for it. They're going to release new Mario games. They're probably going to push that pretty well. They're showing that with third-party support, so I'm assuming that they're really not going to abandon the hardcore when it comes to first-party Nintendo titles. What they're going to do is really yet to be seen. They did show off a nice sort of pre-rendered trailer for, you know, what the Wii U is capable of in terms of a Zelda game, but take that with a grain of salt, because we all know, you know, think back to trailers like Killzone 3 and stuff like that, and the Kinect Star Wars demo. Games, when they show them off in trailers like that on what a system is capable of, never really quite turn out the way you'd hope. However, who the heck would not want to play a Zelda game that looks as good as an Xbox 360 or a PS3 game, so I am definitely all for that. So in terms of other gameplay uses for this controller, it sort of took on a Pac-Man versus-esque type gameplay where one person would look at the television screen and play the game, and then the other players would use the controller and the screen and the controller to play their game. So, you know, the person that's playing on the TV can't see what the other players are seeing on their controller, the Wii U controller. I think that's pretty interesting. Another really cool aspect is the Ghost Recon Online game. There's a video online that I saw that basically you can map out, when you're playing online, you can map out to your teammates on the touchscreen, like, okay, you know, rally here on this point. So you mark it on the touchscreen and it'll appear in-game. That, I think, has some really nice promise to it, especially when it comes to online-based games, using the touchscreen in unique and inventive ways such as that. The stuff with putting the controller on the ground and playing golf and everything, people don't, that's really just, that is the Wii. They were using the Wii controller, and you're essentially just looking at a golf ball on the ground. That's going to appeal fine to the casual audience, but the hardcore gamers and such, I think that's just a bit gimmicky. I'm more for using the touchscreen in ways like using it like a DS touchscreen, where you have the menu on the controller and the gameplay up there. I think we're going to see a lot of HUD-less in terms of, you know, we're not going to see the menus and such on the gameplay screen anymore, life bars. Not too much. They're going to downplay that, and they're going to put a lot of the menus and stuff and the HUD information on the controller, which I think is a cool idea. Keep in mind the tablet controller, the screen on that is not HD, so you're going to take a hit in the, you know, the gameplay and the graphics a little bit while you're playing on the tablet. But from what I've heard, it still looks great. Now, I'm just jumping around here, just different things that come to my mind for this new Nintendo system. The design of the controller itself is kind of big. It seems a little bulky. You got two joysticks, or I guess they're calling them circle pads. They're placed pretty far apart, so while you're playing, you know, your hands are going to be pretty far apart. I just don't know how comfortable it's going to be to play certain games like that. You know, it's a pretty hefty controller. How heavy it is or whatnot, I'm not really quite sure. There's two triggers on the back. But to me, it doesn't look like the type of controller that is going to really feel as comfortable as a PS3 or a 360 controller. There's also a lot of confusion in terms of what the Wii U console actually is. A lot of people are thinking that the controller is the system. That is not true. Nintendo just really avoided showing off or talking about the actual console. There are pictures online. It looks very similar to a Wii. It was actually in the background of the videos they were showing at their press conference. It looks like a Wii. It's just a bit more rounded, maybe a little bit larger. But the Wii U is definitely not just the controller. It is a system in itself. The games that were playable at E3 for this thing were tech demos, so there were no full-fledged games. Nintendo actually stressed this because they don't want people getting the impression that this thing is going to have some half-assed games on there. Everything they showed off that was playable was just a straight-up tech demo. So one of the cooler games that I saw someone demoing was sort of like a fuse between a rhythm game and just like, it was cool because he was using the controller as a shield basically, and I forget the exact name of this game. It has shield in the title, but there's a pirate ship in the background, and they're shooting cannons and arrows at you, and you use the touchscreen to basically block the arrows. So they'll tell you, okay, the arrows are coming from the right, so you got to take it and you got to move the screen to the right or the left, and then you go to the left, and there's a certain amount of shots they have to block before you move around. So essentially, you're blocking these shots by moving the controller around, and I thought that was a pretty cool idea. Whether or not, you know, how they're going to use this when it comes down to core games instead of just simple mini games is yet to be seen. So really the Wii U is still, it's kind of mysterious. You know, we don't really truly know where Nintendo's going to go with this for the hardcore gamers. For the casual audience, it's pretty obvious that, you know, they're gonna make a lot of games, a lot of mini games for this, so it's probably not going to be that hard for them to come up with some Wii resort games for it. Now here's the interesting part. Are the casual going to gravitate towards this new system? Is it going to be too complex for them? The great thing about the Wii is a lot of games just use the motion controls. They got the single A button right on there. But, or, you know, are the grandmas that picked up a Wii for their exercise games, and are the moms and dads and kids, are they really going to feel a bit too overwhelmed when it comes to looking at this big controller with a touchscreen on it? That's kind of, it's hard to say. They do have the Wii name attached to the system. I think they were very smart, and despite how stupid the name is, I really don't care for the name Wii U. I think they would have been better off calling it the Wii 2, or the rumored straight up just calling it Nintendo. Having the Wii name in the system is very smart on their part, because it's going to tell their existing casual, consumer base that, hey, this is still the Wii. You can use all your accessories with it. You can use your balance board. You can use your guns. And they, stress that in their press conference, that you can, use your controllers and you can keep everything. But price is going to be very important. They have to convince their casual consumer audience that they need this thing. They're going to have to put out some new kind of inventive exercise and very simple mini games for it. I honestly think they're going to have a pretty tough time, though, selling a lot of units of this to people that have a Wii, because those casual people that have a Wii, I don't think they really feel the need to throw in a touchscreen. I think they're pretty happy with what they have. Now, I just want to let you guys know that despite everything that I'm saying, how skeptic I am, and it might seem like I'm a little negative towards the Wii U, I just want you guys to know that I am, I'm totally looking forward to this. I don't care what company puts out any system. Oh, I'm always excited for new hardware, new consoles, new experiences in gaming. I have faith in Nintendo despite, their stock is dropping. There's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of positives, but there is quite a lot of negativity in terms of, what they showed off at this E3 with their console. I'm totally looking forward to it, though. I'm looking forward to see what they can do with this touchscreen. I think there's a lot of promise. Just look at the Wii. Look at how long it took the Wii for third-party developers to jump on board and make some really creative, great games for that system. So I think just over time we'll see some really, truly inventive stuff that developers are going to be able to pull out with this touchscreen. It's essentially, having a DS, but having it in consoleized form. That's basically what this is going to be. But once again, the hardest thing for Nintendo with this new system is going to be proving to the hardcore audience why they need to buy, the third-party games that are on all the consoles on the Wii U. I think they're going to have a pretty tough time with it. I mean, people that only have Nintendo consoles, that only support and play Nintendo consoles, they're going to love, all the new third-party content that is coming to the Wii U that they normally never get on, the Wii or the GameCube or anything like that. But, when games like Call of Duty and Battlefield and, Assassin's Creed and, whatever else, BioShock, when that starts coming out on the Wii U, the PS3, and the 360, I'm pretty sure most people are not going to buy it on the Wii U unless they truly, truly reinvent with that touchscreen controller and prove that that is the system to have it on. So, guys, that is just my wrap-up for the Wii U. Next, I'm going to get into, I got a whole list of games here that I want to go over for all the consoles that I'm pretty excited about. I'll talk more about the, the 3DS games that were shown off. But that is just my impressions on the Wii U. Probably the most, the most talked about thing at this year's E3. So let me know what you guys think. Do you like the Wii U? Are you looking forward to what's coming out for it? Just leave me a comment below. I'm interested to hear what you guys think about where Nintendo's going to go with this. Are the hardcore gamers going to buy games on it? Are you going to buy Battlefield 3 on the Wii U when you can buy it on the Xbox 360 or the PS3? So let me know what you think.